He said he wanted the couch, but when he arrived, he didn't bring a truck. He walked right past the furniture, stared at my deadbolt, and smiled. Here are 3 true stories that will make you delete Facebook Marketplace. This first story is from a woman named Amanda. She's 32, lives in Phoenix. This happened 3 months ago. She never sells anything online anymore. I was selling my old couch on Facebook Marketplace. Brown leather, kind of worn, but still comfortable. I posted it for $150. Within an hour, I had like 10 messages. I picked the first person who responded, a guy named Mike. He said he'd come pick it up that evening, around 7 p.m. I told him the address. He said, "Great, see you then." I moved the couch from my living room to the front porch so he could just grab it and go. I didn't want some stranger coming into my house. Around 6:45 p.m., I got a text. Almost there. At 7 p.m., I heard a car pull up. I looked through my front window. It was a Honda Accord, small sedan. Not a truck or SUV. No way a couch was fitting in that car. I thought maybe he was going to ask to borrow my truck or something. A guy got out. Tall, maybe 6 feet, wearing a black hoodie and jeans. He walked up to my porch, but he didn't look at the couch. He walked right past it and came to my front door and knocked. I opened the door a crack. The chain lock was on. "Hey," I said, "the couch is right there." I pointed to it on the porch. He looked at the couch. Then he looked back at me and smiled. "Yeah," he said. "Can I come inside and see where it was? I want to make sure it'll fit in my space." "No," I said. "It's out here. You can measure it if you want." He kept smiling. "Come on, it'll just take a second. I want to see the living room." Something about the way he said it made my stomach turn. "The couch is for sale," I said, "not a house tour. Do you want it or not?" His smile disappeared. He stared at me for a few seconds. Then he said, "I left my wallet in the car. Let me go grab it." He turned and walked back to his car. I watched him. He got in the driver's seat, but he didn't drive away. He just sat there, engine running, looking at my house. I locked my front door, all 3 locks, deadbolt, handle lock, and chain. Then I grabbed my phone and called my neighbor, Steve. Told him what was happening. He said he'd come over. 2 minutes later, Steve pulled into my driveway and parked behind the Honda, blocking it in. Steve walked up to the Honda and knocked on the window. The guy rolled it down. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but after about 30 seconds, the Honda backed up, squeezed past Steve's truck, and drove off, fast. Steve came to my door. I let him in.
"What did you say to him?" I asked. Steve said, "I asked him what he was doing sitting in your driveway. He said he was buying a couch, but changed his mind. I said the couch is still on the porch if he wants it. He said, 'No thanks,' and left." Steve looked at the couch, then at me. "Amanda, that guy never had any intention of buying furniture." I called the police, filed a report, gave them the Facebook profile name and the license plate Steve had written down. They said they'd investigate. 2 days later, an officer called me back. The Facebook profile was fake, created 2 weeks ago. No other activity except messaging people on Marketplace. And the license plate stolen from a car in Tucson. Amanda took down all her Marketplace listings. She never found out what the guy actually wanted, but she knows it wasn't the couch.
That was close. Be honest, if a buyer showed up for a couch driving a small sedan, would you have opened the door? Let me know in the comments.
All right. Let's move on to story number 2.
This next one is from a guy named Tyler. He's 28, lives in Portland. This happened 5 months ago. He only does public meetups now.
I was selling my PlayStation 5 on Craigslist. I'd upgraded to the new model and wanted to get rid of the old one. Posted it for $350. Got a response within hours from a guy who said he'd take it. We agreed to meet at a Starbucks parking lot near my apartment the next day at 6 p.m. That afternoon, around 4 p.m., my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole. A guy was standing there, holding cash in his hand. "Yeah?" I called through the door. "Hey man, I'm here for the PlayStation," he said. I was confused. "We're supposed to meet at Starbucks at 6, I said. "Yeah, I know," he said, "but I was in the area early, so I figured I'd just come by. You live at—" And he said my exact address. Building number, apartment number, everything. "How did you get my address?" I asked. "You gave it to me," he said. I definitely had not. We'd agreed on a public location specifically so strangers wouldn't know where I lived. "I think you're confused," I said. "We're meeting at Starbucks. I'll see you there at 6. "Come on, man," he said. "I'm already here. Just open the door. I got the cash." He held up the money again. I could see it was all 1s and 5s, definitely not $350. "No thanks," I said. "Starbucks at 6 or no deal." He stared at the door for a few seconds. Then he said, "All right, see you at 6. I watched through the peephole as he walked down the hallway. He stopped at the stairwell door, turned around, and looked back at my apartment. Then he left. I immediately checked my Craigslist messages. I hadn't given him my address. All our communication was through email. I searched through every message. Nothing. Then I had a terrible thought. I went to my original Craigslist post, and there it was. In the body of the ad, I'd accidentally included my address. I'd been copying and pasting from an old post where I was selling furniture and had listed my address for pickup. I'd forgotten to remove it before posting the PlayStation ad. I deleted the post immediately, but the damage was done. This guy knew where I lived. At 5:30 p.m., I left my apartment with the PlayStation, drove to the Starbucks, waited in my car. 6 p.m. came and went. The guy never showed up. At 6:30, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey man, I'm at your apartment. Where are you?" My blood ran cold. I called my roommate, Jake. "Are you home?" I asked. "Yeah? Why?" "Lock the door right now. Don't open it for anyone." I explained what was happening. Jake said he'd call the police. I stayed at Starbucks for another hour. Finally, Jake texted me. "Cops came. Nobody's here now. But when I looked through the peephole earlier, someone was standing outside our door, just waiting." I drove around for another 2 hours before going home. When I got there, the police had already left. Jake showed me the security footage from our building's hallway camera. At 6:15 p.m., a guy in a gray hoodie had come up to our door, knocked, waited, knocked again, then just stood there for 20 minutes before leaving. Tyler never sold anything online again, and he never figured out what the guy actually wanted, but he knows it wasn't a PlayStation. Tyler got lucky. Question for you. Have you ever accidentally left your personal phone number or address on a public post? Type yes or no below. All right, last story. This one's the worst. This story is from a woman named Rebecca. She's 35, lives in Denver. This happened 2 months ago. She moved to a new house last week. My husband and I were selling our old dining room table on Facebook Marketplace. Solid wood, seats 8 people. We'd upgraded to a bigger one and needed to get rid of the old one. Posted it for $400. A woman messaged me interested. Her name was Linda. Profile looked normal. Pictures of kids, family photos,
had mutual friends. She said she'd come look at it on Saturday afternoon. Saturday came. My husband Mark was at work. I was home alone. Around 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. I looked through the window. A woman was standing on my porch. Looked like her profile picture. Maybe 40, brown coat, carrying a purse. Normal. I opened the door. "Hi, you must be Linda," I said. She smiled. "Yes, thank you so much for meeting me. Can I see the table?" I led her to the dining room. The table was already pushed against the wall, chairs stacked on top. She walked around it, running her hand along the wood. "It's beautiful," she said. "Do you mind if I measure it? I want to make sure it fits." "Sure," I said. She pulled out a tape measure from her purse and started measuring. Then she said, "Would you mind if I used your bathroom? It's a bit of a drive back to my place." "Of course," I said. "It's down the hall, first door on the left." She thanked me and walked toward the hallway. I waited in the dining room. After about 2 minutes, I heard the front door open. I walked to the living room. A man was standing in my entryway. Tall, maybe 6'3", wearing a black jacket and jeans. He looked at me. I looked at him. "Who are you?" I asked. "He's with Linda," she said. Then Linda came out of the hallway, but she wasn't coming from the bathroom. She was coming from my bedroom. "What were you doing in there?" I asked, my voice shaking. She smiled. "Just looking around. You have a nice house." The man stepped further inside and closed the door behind him. "I want you both to leave," I said, trying to sound firm. "Now." Linda reached into her purse. I thought she was going for a weapon. I grabbed my phone from my pocket. "I'm calling the police," I said. The man held up his hands. "Whoa, no need for that. We're leaving. Sorry for the confusion." They walked toward the door. Linda opened it, but before leaving, she turned to me and said, "By the way, you should really lock your bedroom window. It's open." Then they left. I ran to my bedroom. The window was wide open, cold air pouring in. The screen was removed and lying on the floor inside. They'd been in my house before. They'd scoped it out, found the unlocked window. Linda's visit wasn't about buying furniture. It was about confirming the layout, keeping me distracted while her partner came in through the front door, a door I'd left unlocked because I was expecting her. I called the police, gave them descriptions, showed them the Facebook profile. It was deleted, gone. The police said this was a known scam. People use Marketplace to case houses. They come once to look around, then come back later to rob the place. Or worse, Rebecca and Mark installed a full security system, motion sensors, window alarms, cameras on every door. But they didn't feel safe anymore. They moved out a month later. The house is for sale now. They'll never know what Linda and her partner were planning, but they know it wasn't about a dining room table.
This is why I trust no one. Do you have a strict porch-only rule, or do you let buyers come inside to test the furniture? Tell me your rule.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. 3 true horror stories about selling online. Which one scared you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you sell stuff on Marketplace or Craigslist, just always meet in public. Never give your address, and definitely check your windows. If you're new here, welcome to SpookFeed. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.